Hi dears, today we are going to discuss about electric flux and Gauss law. From the previous videos we have discussed various topics, but in this video we are going to discuss about two important topics. One is electric flux and another one is Gauss law. Okay, so from this electric flux and from Gauss law we can calculate the total amount of electric field for a particular closed surface. Because already we have discussed about electric field due to a point charge, electric field due to a system of point charge, and electric field due to a electric dipole also. Now what is the different thing in this electric flux? In the previous cases we have discussed about electric field due to a single point charge or more than one point charges, or electric field due to dipole. Now in this video we are going to discuss about what is meant by electric flux. Okay, actually it is a 2-mark question, but we have to know how this formula came. Okay, right. Now what is the definition for electric flux? For 2-mark question you have to write the answer from these: number of electric field lines crossing through a given area kept normal to the direction of electric field lines, that is known as electric flux. Okay, right. Suppose if you are not understanding the concept, now we are assuming that there is a point charge. Let we have plus charge. So this positive charge, it can produce number of lines of force radially outwards if we consider it is a point charge. So through this direction of electric field, if we consider any surface, so into the particular surface how many number of lines of force are crossing, that is known as electric flux. Okay, so that in the definition we can see that the number of electric field lines, what is meant by lines of force. Okay, so how many number of lines of force are crossing through this given area, then the area which we are considering, it should be normal, that is nothing but the surface area, it should be perpendicular to the direction of electric field. Okay, right. So from this definition we have to understand one thing, only the number of electric lines of force. Okay, so number of lines of force means it is not representing any direction. That's why this electric flux, it is also called as the scalar quantity. It is the 1-mark question. Okay, then whether the electric flux, it will be a positive or negative. It may be positive or negative. We can't assure that it is positive or negative. It may be positive or negative. What is the formula for electric flux? The formula for electric flux is given by pi is equal to E cos theta into A. In some guide you can see that the electric flux is equal to pi is given by E dot ds cos theta. So ds is nothing but area of the cross section what we have considered, and E is nothing but electric field. What is the meaning of cos theta? So cos theta is the cosine of the angle between, because this is an important factor. It can decide whether the flux is there or not. Okay, depending upon the cos theta value only, we can say that whether the flux is positive or negative, or the flux value is equal to 0. Okay, right. Now what is the cos theta? So cos theta is nothing but it is the cosine of the angle between the direction of electric field and normal drawn to the point of on the surface. So this is known as cos theta. Okay, once again I am repeating, cos theta is nothing but it is the cosine of the angle between the direction of electric field and normal drawn to the surface. Then what is the unit for the electric flux? So unit for the electric flux, it may be given by Newton meter square coulomb power minus 1, otherwise volt meter. Okay, how can we remember this unit for the electric flux? Because it is a major difficulty in our subject from 11th standard. How many units I can memorize? How many units I can remember? Okay, especially we have discussed about the units. If you understand the fundamental quantities and fundamental units, then definitely you can remember all the units that can be derived from the formula. Right. Now we can understand how the unit can be given as Newton meter square coulomb power minus 1. Okay. Right. First we can discuss about the unit Newton meter square coulomb power minus 1. To obtain this unit, we can consider E ds cos theta. Okay, cos theta it is a angle value. We cannot mention any unit. Okay, right. What is the unit for the electric field? We know clearly electric field it has two units. One is Newton per coulomb, another one is volt per meter. What about A? A it has the unit meter square. Now we can take the unit NC power minus 1 and it is combined with the meter square. Okay, then how can we write? N already is there, C power minus 1 is there, meter square. So it is the first unit, Newton meter square coulomb power minus 1. Are you clear? Right. Now we can obtain the second unit. For the second unit, we have to take volt per meter with meter square, because meter square is common. Area it has a unit meter square. Okay, right. Now how can we obtain the second? Already we know that volt per meter is there. It is for electric field, and for area of cross section we can write meter square. So m power minus 1, m power 2. So 1 will be cancelled, then remaining voltmeter. So this is the method. How can we remember the units for all the physical quantities? If you know the fundamental quantities and their units, definitely there is no difficulty to remember the SI unit for all kind of physical quantities. Okay, right. Now let us move to the next sentence. So here, to understand the concept, I have given electric field of a point charge shown in the figure. Consider the rectangular area, that is we are taking two kind of area. So from this diagram we can understand that area of the cross section A and B are having the same magnitude that I wrote here. Though the two area elements are same means they are having the equal magnitude, the flux in the region A is more than B. How can we say that? What is the meaning of flux? Flux is nothing but the number of electric lines of force crossing through the given area. Now, if we can take the area A, how many lines of force is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So according to A, the number of lines of force passing is 6. According to B, we can calculate that 1, 2, 3. So for B, there are 3 lines of force are crossing for B. So that I wrote here, the electric lines of force is more in the region A and less in the region B. So from this diagram, we can understand that electric flux is more in the region A and electric flux is less in the region B. Okay, so that the electric field due to a point charge decreases as the distance increases. It is a important 1 mark question. Electric field, because if the distance is increased means automatically electric field will be decreased. Already we have studied E is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. So we can understand this concept from this formula also. Right. Then what is the next? For a point charge, the electric flux also decreases. For a point charge, the electric flux also decreases as the distance increases. What is the meaning of that? Already we have discussed. Electric field decreases with increasing the distance, that is inversely proportional. Then flux also decreases with increasing the distance. So what is the meaning of it? Both the electric field and the electric flux, they are inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Why? Because from this formula we can say that flux is directly proportional to E. That means if E increases means flux will be increases. If E decreases, that is field decreases means flux will be decreases. When the field will be increased, if the distance is less, field is more. If distance is more, field is less. So the same property it will be associated with the electric flux. Okay, right. Now we can move to the next. So these are the 2 important points you have to remember in 1 mark. Right. Then what is the next? Next is nothing but from this we can understand only 1 mark question, but we cannot neglect this topic. So electric flux for uniform electric field. Here we are taking 3 diagrams. In the first diagram, what we are going to understand. Right. Here we can see that there are electric field is given like that. Okay. Now we are considering a surface that is having the area of cross section A. Then this is the direction of normal, the perpendicular line which is drawing to the surface. Now what will be the flux? The magnitude of flux. So what is the magnitude of flux? In the previous page we have discussed. What is the flux? Pi is equal to, what is the value of pi? Pi it can be given by E dot dA cos theta. Okay, right. Here E is nothing but uniform electric field, so it is a constant, and A is the area of the constant, it is also constant, area of the cross section. Then what about the theta? So theta value is essential. Here we can understand that this is the direction of normal drawn to the point. What is the direction of electric field? Both are same. So that theta value it will be equal to 0. What is the value of cos 0? Cos 0 is equal to 1. So that we can get the value pi E is equal to E dot A. Are you clear? Right. Then in the next one, we can see the image. The chosen area A is parallel to the uniform electric field. Here we can see that the surface is parallel to the direction of electric field. So this will be the normal drawn to the point. So this will be the direction of electric field. So what is the angle between them? That is exactly 90 degree. Already we know that cos theta is nothing but cosine of the angle between the electric field and normal drawn to the surface. So theta value is equal to 90. What is the value of cos 90? Is equal to 0. Then what will be the value of flex? Flex formula, it is given by pi is equal to E dot dA cos theta. Here what is the value of theta? 90. Cos 90 is equal to what? 0. So anything into 0 is equal to 0. So that the total flex for the chosen area, if it is parallel to the uniform electric field, then theta value is equal to 90, then flex value it is 0. It is 0. Okay, right. If we understand, or if you are taking another case, that is nothing but the chosen area, it is at an angle theta with the surface. So here the surface area, it is not exactly perpendicular to the direction of electric field and not parallel to the direction of electric field. Now what is the angle between them? We know we don't know the exact value, but it is inclined at an angle theta with the direction of electric field. Now what is the flex? Flex value, it is given by pi E is equal to E dot or E cos theta into A. Here the field is not perpendicular to the surface or not parallel to the surface. So in this case we are writing the component of the electric field perpendicular to the area alone contribute the electric flex. What is the meaning? If it is inclined at an angle, the two components will be there. Okay, so in two components, the component which is perpendicular to the direction of electric field alone can produce the electric flex. The surface which is parallel to the direction of electric field cannot contribute any electric flex. Okay, so the total electric flex, its value is given by pi E is equal to E cos theta dot A. In some books we can see that pi is equal to E dot ds cos theta or dA cos theta. A is nothing but what? Area of cross section. So in some books we can see that ds cos theta. Okay, right. So for finding electric flex, we have to note down the orientation of the surface, the position of the surface, whether it is perpendicular to the direction of electric field or parallel to the direction of electric field, or it is inclined at an angle theta with the direction of electric field. Okay, right. Now if the theta value is the angle between the electric field and direction of normal to the surface area, what is the general form? Already I told the same thing, it is written here, that is nothing but pi E is equal to E dot E vector dot A vector. Okay, in vector form. Since it is a dot product, we are saying that only the magnitude it is given by this formula, so it is a scalar quantity. To find out the magnitude, we have to use this formula, pi E is equal to E dot A cos theta. Okay, then one more thing I wrote here, note that A is the area vector. Sometimes it may be expected in the 1 mark question. What is meant by area vector? Area vector is nothing but it is the angle between the surface of the area and normal drawn to the point on the surface. Because in 1 mark question, sometimes we can expect what is the angle between area and the area vector. Area and area vector, it is always 90 degree. Because normal means it is a perpendicular line drawn to the surface. Okay, so that I wrote here, its magnitude is simply A and the direction is along the unit vector n cap, which is perpendicular to the area. So that I told the angle between area and area vector, it is always 90 degree. Then in this note we can understand that area vector is the angle between the surface area and normal to the surface or normal drawn to the surface. Okay, already we have discussed, it may be in one more question. Right. Depending upon the angle, we can calculate the flux. So if the area vector A is perpendicular to the electric field, the flux is equal to E dot A. Okay, already we have discussed. Then if the area vector A is parallel means theta value will be 90 degree. Then what is the flux? Its value will be equal to 0. Okay, so these are the important topics that we have to understand. Then next one is electric flux in the non-uniform electric field. Okay, here we are going to discuss about electric flux in a non-uniform electric field. In the previous pages we have discussed about electric flux in a uniform electric field. In a uniform electric field, we have discussed whether the surface is parallel to the direction of electric field or perpendicular to the direction of electric field or at an angle theta with the direction of electric field. Here we are going to discuss about electric flux in the non-uniform electric field. Suppose if we consider it is a non-uniform electric field, then what will be the flux? Okay, so in this case we have to divide large number of area elements. For example, if we consider this is the area and electric field is also not uniform, then how can we calculate? Here we have to take the total area, it should be divided into large number of area elements. Okay, so these are called as the area elements. Okay, in such a way we have to divide large number of area element, and it can be considered as the area segment, which is represented here A1 vector, del A2 vector, del A3 vector up to del AN vector. N number of area element we are dividing. Okay, right. Now this small area, okay, already we have discussed now. In this case, all the small area element, they are uniform. If we consider the entire area, it may be non-uniform. If it is divided into n number of area element, each small area element, it is almost uniform. So in this case, we are going to calculate what is the flux in each area element. For first area element, we can write E1 vector dot del A1 vector. For second element, E2 vector dot del A2 vector. For third, we can write E3 vector dot del A3 vector. Such a way, we can write up to the nth area element. Okay, so to write in the summation order, we can use this formula, that is nothing but pi E is equal to sigma 1 to n EI vector dot del AI vector. So EI is nothing but electric field of ith element, and del AI is nothing but area of cross section of the ith area element. Okay, that is written here, and by taking the limit del AI tends to 0, then the summation it will becomes a integration. By integrating this, what is the total flux? Total flux, it will be given by the formula pi E is equal to integral E dot dA. Okay, then the electric flux for a given surface depends both the electric field pattern and surface area and orientation of the surface with respect to the field. Okay, what is the meaning? From this note, what we are going to understand? The total electric flux for a given surface depends on both the electric field pattern and the surface area. What is the meaning? Field pattern, whether it is parallel to the surface of the area and perpendicular to the surface of the area, and the orientation of the surface with respect to the electric field. So what is the strength of the electric field, and Orientation means whether it is parallel or perpendicular. Are you clear? So we can understand that flux is equal to E dot ds cos theta. So E is nothing but electric field pattern. Cos theta is nothing but orientation of the coil or orientation of the surface, whether it is parallel or perpendicular to the direction of electric field. Okay, right. In the next we can discuss about, for the closed surface, what is the electric flux. Dear students, you have to understand, initially we have discussed about electric flux. What is the general formula for electric flux, or what is the definition for the electric flux? Electric flux is defined as the number of electric lines of force crossing through the or passing through the given area which is normal to the direction of electric field. And we have discussed about electric flux for the uniform electric field. The next we have discussed about electric flux for the non-uniform electric field. Now we are going to discuss about electric flux for the closed surfaces. Suppose we consider the surface area, what we are going to be considered, it is a closed surface or the closed region. Then what is the formula for the flux? The formula for flux is given by pi E is equal to integral E dot ds. The very important thing what we have to understand, the integral, it is represented by encircled integral symbol or encircled elongated S. So what is the meaning? Why it is encircled? That means it is for the closed surface. The integral, it is for the closed surface. In 11th standard also we have discussed, and also you can hear the types of integral in mathematics also. That is nothing but line integral, and also you may discuss about surface integral. This is for area, and also you may discuss about volume integral. Triple integral, it is for volume. Suppose if we consider surface, double integral. For line integral we can see that C, or sometimes we will write L. Okay, if it is encircled, then we have to understand the integration should be taken for the closed surface. That's why it is written here. Pi E is equal to closed integral E dot dA or E dot ds. Okay, right. For the non-uniform electric field, we have to take the closed integration. Right. Now, in the above equation, we can see that there is a encircle. That is nothing but it is representing as the closed surface of integration for each areal element. Already in the previous case we have discussed the area or the entire area is divided into n number of small elements. Okay, right. Then the electric flux over a closed surface can be negative or 0 or positive. Because already in the first we have discussed electric flux may be positive or negative. But here the electric flux for the closed surface, this is very important thing. But in general electric flux may be positive or negative. But total electric flux over a closed surface, if we consider the closed region, it may be positive, negative or 0. There are three possibilities there. Then if the angle between dA and E, what is dA? dA is nothing but normal drawn to the surface. E is nothing but electric field. Okay, so if theta value, cosine of the angle, if theta value is acute angle, if it is less than 90 degree, what is the meaning of less than 90 degree? Acute angle, then the electric flux, it will be positive, because 0 to, what is the cos 0 value? It is 1. Okay, so less than 90 degree, it will take positive region. Okay, positive region, first quadrant. So all will take positive value. you may study all silver teacups in the first quadrant. It will take all trigonometrical functions, it will take the positive value. So that if theta value is acute angle is less than 90 degree, it will come under the first quadrant. In the first quadrant, all the trigonometrical function, it will take the positive, so that we can consider the flux is also positive. Right. Suppose any aerial element, the angle between E and dA is greater than 90. So greater than 90 means it is a second quadrant. In the second quadrant, all silver. So silver S represents for sine. Okay, already you may study in mathematics, in physics also you may hear. There are 4 quadrants will be there. In the first quadrant, all kind of trigonometrical function. Second quadrant, sine and its inverse. And third, tan and its inverse. Then fourth, cos and its inverse. So less than 90 degree means acute angle. So here it will take the positive. Greater than 90 degree means it is obtuse angle. It will come in the second quadrant. So there the flux value, it will be negative. So that in the sentence directly I have given, in any aerial element the angle between dA and A is greater than 90 degree, then the electric flux is negative. Okay. Then third point, in general the electric flux is negative if the electric field lines enters the closed surface. So this is important. So at the entry the flux will be negative. At the point of exit, the electric flux, it will be positive. Are you clear? So this is also can be expected in 1 mark questions. Right. Then after this topic, we can discuss about Gauss law. So what is Gauss law? In this Gauss law, we are going to calculate what is the total amount of electric flux. Okay. If we consider the positive charge, we know that the electric field, it is always acting radially outwards. That is noted here. So here the electric field is there, and we imagine the closed surface. So in this region we are drawing the normal. Let us consider this is normal drawn to the surface. Now what is the angle between E and DS, or E and dA? They are parallel, so that angle value is equal to 0. So what is the cos 0 value is equal to 1. So that we can write pi is equal to integral E dot dA. Right. Now in this diagram, what is the direction of electric field? Since it is a positive charge, it is radially outwards. Then the direction of area element is also same. Same means it is along the direction of electric field. Then theta value is equal to what? 0. Then the electric flux will be given by, what is the electric flux? Pi is equal to E dot ds cos theta. Okay. So cos 0. Because direction of electric field is along the direction of aerial element. That means normal drawn to the surface. So theta value is equal to 0 means cos 0 is equal to 1. Then we can write pi E is equal to E dot ds. Here what is E? E is nothing but electric field. Okay, so electric field is constant produced by the point charge which is kept at the center. Only the area element, it is depending upon our choices. Okay, so that E can be taken out from the integral only ds. Suppose if we consider the surface area is nothing but sphere. If we consider means what is the area of the sphere, it will be given by 4 pi r square. So that I wrote here, if the total area of the cross section is sphere, consider a sphere, and its value will be given by 4 pi r square, and electric field it will be given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q by r square. Why? Because we are considering a point charge. So this point charge, it will be contribute the electric flux, that is nothing but k into q by r square. What is the value of k? K is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Okay, so that I have written, if we substitute the value of 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q by r square for E and 4 pi r square for integral E ds, then we will get pi E is equal to, or flux is equal to, what is the flux value? Flux value, it is given by pi E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q by r square into 4 pi r square. R square will be cancelled. Then 4 pi will be cancelled. What will be remaining? Pi is equal to q by epsilon naught. Okay, so this is the formula for electric flux. Pi is equal to q by epsilon naught. Okay, right. Now, what is the definition for Gauss law? Okay, so definition for in our textbook they have given as the total electric flux for the closed arbitrary area is given by directly they have given this formula, but if they are asking in law 2 mark question, what is the answer? We have to write. For that question you have to write the total electric flux of the electric field over a closed arbitrary surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed by the surface. So total charge which is inside the surface can contribute the flux. If we consider the charge outside, it cannot contribute any flux. That's why they have mentioned here the net charge enclosed by the surface. The charge should be inside, then only it can contribute the flux. Okay, right. Then charge means total charge. That's why I wrote separately q net is the total charge enclosed by the surface. Right. Then what are the points to be remembered in these two cases, electric flux and the field? In the first point, we can see that the total electric flux through the closed surface depends on the charges enclosed by the surface. Again and again I am stressed here, enclosed. The charge should be inside. Only the charges enclosed by the surface, so that the flux will be inside. Flux will be inside only. Outside there is no flux. Then next point, charges present outside will not contribute the flux. Already we have discussed. What are the charges located inside the surface? They can contribute the flux inside the surface. The flux outside the closed surface, it will be equal to 0. So that the flux outside the closed surface is equal to 0. What is the next point we have to remember? In the next point, the total flux is dependent of the location of charges inside the closed surface. Okay, what is the meaning? Actually, the total electric flux is independent of the, just to change it, here you have to understand that this is independent. That is meant by the total flux is independent of the charges, location of charges inside the closed surface. That means you can understand from this diagram easily. If we are consider here 4 coulomb is there, minus 2 coulomb is there, here 1 microcoulomb is there, the total electric flux, it will be independent of the charges located where it is inside. If it is inside means it can contribute the flux. Okay, it is the correct meaning for that. Again I am saying here you have to write it is independent of the location of the charges inside the closed surface and independent of the charges located outside the surface, because the flux cannot be produced by the charges which is located outside the surface. Okay, then in the last point we can see that after that the imaginary surface that we have chosen from the closed region is known as a Gaussian surface. The shape of the Gaussian surface, what it should be, because in the previous page we have discussed, if it is considered as a sphere, the area it is considered as 4 pi r square. So what is the shape of the surface we have to choose? For that this point is given. The shape of the Gaussian surface to be chosen depends on the type of the charge configuration. Okay, suppose in a particular point so many charges are accumulated, here very rare charges are accumulated, means we have to take as a triangle. So depending upon the configuration of the charges located inside the surface, the shape of the Gaussian surface have to be chosen. Okay, right. Then symmetry property also we have to consider, because the total surface area is nothing but sphere, means we have to consider each area element, it should be considered as the spherical. Suppose if we consider the total or entire area, it is in the shape of square, means each area element it should be taken as the square. Suppose if it is considered as the rectangle, each aerial element it should be considered as small rectangles. So this is the meaning of this sentence. Are you clear? That's why I have given here what I have given. The shape of the Gaussian surface, the shape of the Gaussian surface to be chosen depends on the type of the charge configuration and kind of symmetry existing the configuration. Okay, then what is the next point? The electric field due to the charges present inside and outside the Gaussian surface, but Q net is the charges which lie only inside the Gaussian surface. What is the meaning of that? Electric field is due to the charges present inside and outside the Gaussian surface. So electric field may be calculated by the charges which is located inside the closed surface or outside the closed surface. That means Gaussian surface. But Q net, the total charge, means we have to consider only the charges which are located inside the Gaussian surface. Okay, right. So how can we understand this point? Because we can expect the 1 mark question from this topic. How can we expect the 1 mark question from this topic, or how can we understand this point? Okay, for this I am giving one example, just you can see. For that, suppose we are assuming that this is the surface they have given in the exam. Okay, now inside this region they are considering the circle. Into the circle there are some charges are there, plus for example this is 4 coulomb, this is 2 coulomb, this is 6 coulomb, this is 7 coulomb, here plus 1 coulomb is there, here 8 coulomb is there, 7 coulomb is there. What is the total flux, they can ask. Here we have to calculate what are the charges located inside the Gaussian surface. 4 coulomb, 6 coulomb, 2 coulomb and 9 coulomb. We should not calculate 1 coulomb, 8 coulomb and 7 coulomb. Only the charges which are located inside the closed surface, that should be calculated, that should be taken in account to find the value of flux. Okay, that is the meaning of this point. The total field due to the charges present inside or outside the Gaussian surface, but Q net is the charges which lie only inside the surface. The total charge means should be calculated inside the surface. Right. What is the next? The Gaussian surface cannot pass through any discrete charges, but it can pass through the continuous charge. Why? Because if we consider the discrete charges, means if it is very closer, means then electric field is not valid. Why? Because if the distance is very less, means that means the distance value is 0 or negligible, means we cannot calculate the value of electric field. So that it cannot pass through the discrete charges, but it can pass through the Gaussian surface. The next one is nothing but the Gauss law is another form of Coulomb's law, and it is also applicable to the charges in the motion. We can apply the Gauss law if the charges are at rest or it is in the motion. Because of this reason, Gauss law is treated as much more general law than Coulomb's law. Okay, so my dear students, from this topic, from this video, what are the questions we can expect in the examination? One is electric flux, define electric flux, whether it is the scalar quantity or vector quantity, give its unit, give its formula. This is 1 2 mark question. And another one is Gauss law. Then from the important topics, PTR, points to be remembered, then so many 1 mark questions we can expect. So from these two concepts, what is the most probable to ask the questions we have discussed through this video. Okay, while watching the video, every point you have to concentrate more. Okay, and while watching the video, if you are having any doubt, you can take the doubt in a separate paper, then you can post it in the comment box. I will try to solve your problem. Okay, and then in the next video we can discuss about applications of Gauss law. In that video we can expect 3 mark questions can be solved. Maximum possibilities 3 mark questions we can expect on the topic applications of Gauss law. Okay, so you go through all the concepts and practice as a test by your own. Okay, time is very short. Use the time properly and prepare thorough for our physics. Definitely, what is the mark you are aiming to score in the public examination, you can score if you watch the video carefully till the end. Okay, and one more thing, maximum possibilities of tested questions for board examination as well as for NEET examination, everything we are discussing here. Okay, after watching this video, if you like this video, you can share this video to your friends and subscribe our channel compulsory. Okay, thank you, thanks for watching. God bless you all. Thank you.